Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw. You're killing me, bro. You're killing me. Let's discuss it. Want to start by welcoming everybody back to the Riggs Beast channel. Let's go ahead and go beast on that subscribe button. Let's go beast on that like button. And let's go ahead and talk about this Monday Night Raw, which came to you live from Los Angeles, California. So they kick off Raw with the recap of the Festival of Friendship and Kevin Owens turning on Chris Jericho. Once they get to the actual arena, it's Kevin Owens, a spotlight, and the rest is dark. I like this opening. I also like how Kevin Owens is sitting there in a three-piece suit. Again, this is going to come into play as WWE is starting to lay a little groundwork, starting to get the internet talking, get people talking about the rumor, of course, of the new evolution with Joe, Owens, and Triple H. There was some hints laid, and I like it. It may be the only thing I liked about this show. Maybe, but I liked this. So Owens starts by saying that he's going to answer the question that is on everybody's mind. Why he's going to retain the title at Fastlane. He talks about knowing he would be champion since he was 15 and that wrestling Goldberg, he would have called you crazy if you had told him that. Says the only reason Goldberg beat Lesnar was because Lesnar took him lightly. He will not make that mistake. He has to outlast him. That's how you beat Goldberg, according to Kevin Owens. Because as he laid out, the longer you go in a Goldberg match, the more he fades away. Bringing again the internet involved here about how Goldberg only wrestles short matches. He goes into how he's saying he's smarter than Goldberg and he knows how to, quote unquote, play the game better than anyone else. Again, I talked about little groundwork, foreshadowing, getting people thinking, getting people talking. The main event at Fastlane, when this was announced, Goldberg versus Owens, people really just basically jumped to the assumption, so did I, that Goldberg's going to beat Owens. And I still think that's what's going to happen. But the fact that they're doing this will at least give people some doubt, will at least create a story to make people think, well, maybe it won't happen. And that's interesting, and that is good creative. It's not great, but it's good creative, and you have to give them credit where credit is due. It's very easy to bash Raw and WWE all of the time, but it's harder to give them credit when they're doing something that is actually good, and this is actually good. This is also the intense Kevin Owens that everybody's been missing, including myself, the guy you saw at NXT, the guy from Ring of Honor, etc., etc. To finish this up, he mentions Jericho after all the Goldberg stuff, stares off for a minute, and then just drops the mic and walks off. This was well done, and they get credit for it. But they don't get credit for a lot of what happened on this show. Next, we had Enzo and Cass versus Sheamus and Cesaro in a number one contenders match for the Tag Team Championships at Fastlane. I did enjoy that at least there was something on the line in this match, but the main problem, and this is a SmackDown problem as well as a Raw problem, that both tag team divisions are borderline a joke. Both of them are very weak, both of them are booked poorly, and to be honest, you really can't get into anything on either brand. And due to all that, this match is going to suffer. It's hard to get into tag teams, it's hard to get into tag team matches, even that are for number one contenderships, that you don't care about the teams because they haven't been portrayed importantly. But I do want to talk about one thing I've noticed, and this is for all tag teams really over the last 8 months to a year. A lot of these tag matches are having this new spot where the babyface is going to dive for a tag and he's being intercepted, normally grabbed, and then either a spine buster or some type of maneuver based out of that interception. Cesaro used that tonight to do his European uppercut, which was a good spot. But I think a problem with this is that so many people are doing it and it's becoming noticeable that it's really going to lose, and it may have already lost its luster and lost its effectiveness on the match. It's a form of a way to fake the hot tag, to kind of fool you into that. But again, it's losing its luster because you just start noticing it match after match after match after match. But to the end of this match, Enzo and Cass win. They're going to be the number one contenders. After the match, Enzo's running his mouth, saying crap, and he gets kicked in the face by Sheamus. And actually, if you noticed, crowd started saying, "Thank you, Sheamus." Don't want that for Enzo and Cass. This may be an isolated occurrence, but it's something to take a look at. I'm wondering if the crowd maybe start to go cold on Enzo and Cass because they took way too long to even put them in a tag title match. The match they're doing now with Enzo and Cass versus the Club should have happened 6 months ago. 6 months ago. So you wait so long that a match that the crowd was hot to see back in the summer is now cold for now. So they go to the back and Owens is leaving, but Mick catches up with them. Says, "Why are you leaving? You have a match with Zayn." Owens warns Mick that he'll have more people on the injured list than active. The internet is going to start to explode with speculation because of how he said it. And again, the little undertone of injury, Samoa Joe, Seth Rollins. So they do a Braun Strowman package next. It's just to keep him looking strong for that match with Roman. That Roman's going to win. Do not let anything fool you. Roman is going to win. Roman is going to his match with The Undertaker. Do not forget. Next, they do a recap of Bayley winning the title. I still don't think it should have happened last week. I'm going to stick to that, and what they did tonight even furthers my point that it shouldn't have happened last week, and we'll talk about that a little later. So the next segment is Roman and Mick. They're talking about Strowman. Mick tells me he has to wait till Fastlane. The Club comes in and says they have unfinished business. They want to set up a match with Roman. Foley says if Roman can find a partner. Roman cuts him off and says, no, I can handle this. They're just the tag team champions. I can handle this. A little bit of sarcasm for me at the end, but that's basically what's going to happen. This really helps out the tag team division, doesn't it? At least they're trying to build storylines on SmackDown with the tag team division. On Raw, you take your tag team champions, you have them to have basically nothing to do with Enzo and Cass 2 weeks before their title match, and you have them go into yet another handicap match with Roman to make Roman look strong, and your tag team champions not being able to handle one guy. Great. So we're going to go into Kendrick and Tozawa for about 10 seconds because that's all the match lasted on Raw. But for some reason, I got to say this. For some reason, the way Tozawa said nope to Kendrick was hilarious to me. And I don't know why, but he's just looking up and going nope. It got a laugh out of me. Crowd, of course, could absolutely care less about this match. It goes about 2 minutes. It never even starts. Kendrick jerks Tozawa's neck, puts him in the bully choke, and then leaves. So we're going to that Reigns and Club match. It's a throwaway match. Let's just face it. This is a throwaway match. The Club shows they can't beat Roman. They bring in a chair. Roman gets it. He uses it on Anderson. Gallows gets some offense with some punches. Roman's eventually going to Superman punch him. Anderson tries to dive off the top rope. Roman's going to spear him. It was a cool spot. But like I said, who really cares about Roman? Who is Roman? Why should I care about him? Why should he be babyface that I cheer? I mentioned this in my first video about characters. Again with Roman, why should I care? Why should I like him? They never tell you that story. And you wonder why 70% of your crowd still boos him. So we're going to move on to another absolute waste of time. The New Day versus Rusev and Steroid Mahal. And the WWE even knows about this because they're trolling people now. If you heard, Byron Saxton says he has a new nickname, Hard Body Mahal. They're listening, and they're trolling you. They announced that the New Day is hosting WrestleMania. Honestly, who gives a fuck? Who really cares? This is an overdone thing. They're going to have a segment. Who cares? Honestly, it was 5 minutes of bad comedy when the New Day came out. They used this to make a Russian hacker joke. Clever, but the whole point was to use a Russian hacker joke. New Day wins, and that's all I got to say about that. After this, they had a nice memoriam for George the Animal Steel. As a kid, he always made me laugh. That's the best way I can describe him. Even when I was supposed to fear him, he made me laugh. And I always wondered how he got all that hair on his back. How did he grow that? But it's guys like this that the WWE Network can keep their legacies alive, and that's what you have to appreciate about the WWE Network the most, is that guys like this still have they still have a legacy to be watched. They still have a legacy to be appreciated by younger fans that may have never seen them before. They can just go, put it in a search bar, and it's going to be there. And for that, the WWE Network does serve a tremendous purpose as almost an encyclopedia to the past of wrestling, since they have so much tape library. Really recommend to anybody, go back, go search Georgie Animal Steel. Maybe he'll get a kick out of him. I think you will. He was honestly a good worker for his time. And I think as time has gone on, he's been appreciated less and less, and that shouldn't be that way. So good on you, WWE, for that. Next, we go to a contract signing between Jack Gallagher and Neville. Gallagher gets the jobber entrance as he's already in the ring as Austin Aries introduces him. Gallagher signs before Neville ever comes to the ring. Neville comes down, signs the deal, is going to leave. Gallagher stops him and says, "I have tea and biscuits." Crowd starts chanting, "He has biscuits, he has biscuits." Neville cuts your typical heel promo. He calls out the crowd. He calls out Gallagher, calls him a stereotype of British people, says the people are laughing at him, not with him, etc., etc. Gallagher goes with typical babyface, how he cares about the crowd thinks, and that he's not a stereotype of English people, etc., etc. It ends in the table getting flipped over, which always brings me back to CM Punk when he was talking with Triple H, is how, when are we going to flip the table over? That's what always happens in these things. It's just funny when it happens that way. They have a quick fight. Gallagher gets the upper hand. That's all that happens here. Very vanilla contract signing. At least, I will say this, at least they got more than 2 minutes. And for that, thank you, WWE, for giving the Cruiserweights more than 2 minutes. So Nia Jax is on this show tonight, and she's going to face random number 8. Nia Jax wins in about 27 seconds. Jax has a quick interview in the ring, says the only controversy there should be is that she hasn't had a title match and she's putting the champ on notice. That's it. They're now going to the Bayley segment. They were teasing how Bayley should give up the title. So Bayley comes out and she's doing her projection of a fan as a wrestler and how she's so happy to be the champion. The dream came true. Stephanie McMahon comes out, little surprised here. Stephanie's pushing her to give up the title, that it's a tainted victory. I don't like this. And the reason I don't like it is because it comes off as treating the fans like idiots. The match was only last week. You do remember Dana Brooke coming down and interfering in the match, and then Sasha Banks doing the same thing on behalf of Bayley. So they completely ignore Dana Brooke, but go after Sasha. I get that it's a heel tactic, and I get they're trying to get sympathy on Bayley for this, but by Bayley not bringing it up, it makes her look stupid, and it kind of treats the fans like idiots. And for that, I'm not a huge fan of what they're doing with this. Bayley then is acting like she's going to give the belt up. Sasha comes out. Sasha starts talking to Bayley about how she shouldn't give it up. She has no reason to. She's stopping her from giving up the title. Stephanie then is going to try to stir the pot and say that the reason is Sasha is doing this because is that she doesn't think she could beat Charlotte, but she thinks she could beat Bayley, trying to drive a wedge between the two friends. Bayley then steps in and talks about how she wants to be an honorable champion and fakes like she's going to give the belt up and then says, "Hell no, I'm not giving this up." Charlotte then comes out, invokes her rematch clause at Fastlane. Here we go. And then sets up Sasha and Charlotte for tonight. Again, is there more women on this show? Again, they have good matches. But again, anyway, Charlotte versus Sasha was up next. If you've seen one of them, you've seen this one. It was more about Bayley being on commentary. That's really about it. Sasha's going to win after Charlotte's distracted by Bayley, who was beating up Dana Brooke, who was coming down to ringside. Sasha won with the bank statement, made her tap out. And you even got the commentators. They were just pointing out how Charlotte was distracted. So Bayley helps out Sasha. We're again completely ignoring what just happened in front of your face. Again, that stuff really comes off as treating the fans like morons. That usually doesn't go over well. They announced that DDP's on the Hall of Fame. If you've seen DDP back in the mid to late 90s, you understand why. Became a great worker and a babyface you can get behind who had a tremendous story. Very happy DDP's going in. Up next is the supposed Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn match. Before Zayn could get down to the ring, Samoa Joe comes out and fucks Sami Zayn up. Zayn gets back in the ring, though. He's forcing the match to start. He wants to fight, showing that fighting spirit that you want your baby faces to have. Owens is just brutal to Zayn. Vicious running clotheslines in the corners. 2 cannonballs when he fell down. Zayn, he's out. He's done. Owens picks him up, acts like he's going to throw him against the ropes, pulls him back, pop-up powerbomb, 1, 2, 3. Owens wins quick. Again, they're laying more groundwork and making you wonder about, number one, what Triple H and Kevin Owens talked about, why Samoa Joe is helping Kevin Owens. Yes, there's a rivalry with Sami Zayn, but why was this match made? Who made the match? It all intertwines, and it is a good story. Let's see where it goes. I'm willing to give this one a definite chance. Well, we pretty much are getting the end of Foley as GM. After this, they're in the back, and basically, he's going after Steph now. He states that Seth would be out, another Mania, as almost like a throwaway, because of Stephanie McMahon, because of Triple H, and Samoa Joe. Basically telling Stephanie, don't treat me like I'm stupid. I've told you before, don't treat me like I'm stupid. Stephanie says this is like insubordination. Foley goes after her again. As he's leaving, she says, watch, there's a wire. I wouldn't want you to have an accident. It's coming. Foley will be done very soon. So the Lesnar interview happens next, and boy, Brock Lesnar looked like a pedophile. Cole asks Lesnar about what if Goldberg wins the title. Heyman basically takes over and warns Cole to change his tone. Lesnar then chases him off, grabs the chair, sits backwards, and stares at the screen really up close, looking like a pedophile. Then Heyman starts talking about Owens and how Owens is now being looked at as the most violent champion. Lesnar disagrees. Heyman goes into how he believes Owens can win the match, how he can beat Goldberg, but Lesnar disagrees. Now they're laying groundwork for Lesnar wanting the title and Goldberg winning. I think that's where they're going with it, but the fact that they're trying to give you a multi-layered storyline, I will give them credit for trying to put doubt in your mind. They show the ring crew reinforcing the ring. Who cares? They do announce Goldberg's going to be on the show next week, but Seth Rollins is going to be on the show next week. This one's interesting. I didn't think you'd see him at least until March, at least till the middle of March. So this one is a really curious hook as to what's going on with Seth Rollins. So now we get to our main event of Braun Strowman versus The Big Show. Now I will admit, this match for a super heavyweight versus a super heavyweight wasn't horrible. I've never been a huge fan of them, so I can't say it was good, but I will give them credit that this one wasn't bad. It was still slow and boring to me. I don't hate super heavyweights. I don't hate heavyweights fighting middleweights. I don't hate big versus small. I don't necessarily hate big versus big, but when you have a near 400-pounder versus a 400-pounder, I've never been a fan of those matches. This one wasn't bad, though. The one thing that really impressed me tonight, and I couldn't stop thinking about it through the entire match, is Braun Strowman did a nip up like a cruiserweight. I cannot begin to describe how ridiculously impressive that is for a near 7-footer, for a man as thick as him to do a fucking nip up. That, ladies and gentlemen, is fucking impressive. Strowman was looking strong, though, kicking out of both the chokeslam and Big Show's knockout punch throughout this match. One thing that, I don't want to say pissed me off, but really bothered me. Braun Strowman's power slam was kicked out of tonight. That move should have been protected. Nobody should be kicking out of that finisher. You should make him look dominant with that move. The fact that Big Show kicked out of it, now anybody can kick out of it. It's lost a lot of its luster. It's lost that mystique of, the match is going to end. No, you now know it doesn't have to. The Big Show kicked out of it. Again, with all the finisher kickouts that WWE does. And this happens a lot in New Japan too. Do not get me wrong. They have built their company off of finisher kickout after finisher kickout. It is just an overplayed, overused way to pop the crowd. And they tried it with this too, and after it worked. It worked because the crowd started chanting this was awesome and they got into it. So kudos for that. But the art of wrestling is being able to tell a story without cheap pops during a match, and finisher kickouts are exactly that. They can be used in certain situations in certain spots at big events. But a random Raw 2 weeks before a B-level pay-per-view, 6 weeks before WrestleMania, with a guy you're trying to build that hasn't been pinned, makes no sense. Strowman's going to win the match, though, with a second running power slam. Immediately after he wins, Roman comes out. Roman hits 2 Superman punches on him. He goes for a spear, but Braun drop kicks him. Then does the running power slam. Stands over Reigns, raises his arms, does his scream. Raw goes off the air. Raw tonight was a 3.5 out of 10. The reemergence of intense Kevin Owens, the little intertwining with Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe, and Braun Strowman doing a nip-up are really the only true good things I can say about this show. I know there was the Memoriam, and I like that, but that's not part of the show. This show, honestly, was boring, and you could have taken a nap and not missed a damn thing. But that's it for the Raw review, guys. One more time, let's go beast on that subscribe button. Let's go beast on that like button. And as always, folks, keep it beast.